This is Drew Spence from the Dynamic Universe. We're going to do some post work on an image submitted by B, who I also know from the webinar series that I do. They're a graphic artist and illustrator. They also use Daz Studio, and their comic is Demon Division, which you can find on Smack Jeeves. This would be the site. Demon Division is the name of the title. As you can see, it has some pretty radical artwork already. Pretty action paced. It's based on magic, so there's a lot of energy, special effects going on in it. It's a mature title. It's adult, so if you're of a certain age and ilk, you probably don't want to keep flipping through this. But what we're going to do tonight should be fairly clean. We're just going to do some post work on one of the images that they've submitted. This person's already pretty much an accomplished illustrator, so at this point it's just about seasoning to taste, and everyone will have their own take on it, on what they feel like doing with their artwork. So this is certainly not to say that I'm doing any sort of improvement or correction. This is just my take on some of their work. But let's take a look on the Smack Jeeves site. If we begin reading, we get the title page. You get to see that picture real sharp. I mean, this is crazy action to jump with. It promises a lot, you know, powered characters fighting against demons. You know, it's gonna be insane, most likely. So, there is actually an artist, and he's actually doing the tougher job. The team is doing the actual tougher job of illustrating someone else's script. So you don't get a chance to really back down from what the person wrote or decide to go a different direction if it doesn't work out. But this is what we're looking at, you know. But of course, I could sit here all night and read this, but we can't do that again. So let's take a look at the picture that was given as an example. This is what it looks like in the comic, or at least I should say this is the demo of the image. This is me opening it in Photoshop. So we're getting a picture of a character in front of a door, and the text that goes along with it. The guide text that the character is in fear, trying to keep the mind mage, which is the hologram, which is this image, from finding out certain things while they're seeing his memories. So we have the shutting doors of visualization, and she penetrates the barriers easily. And we have rain in the background as an image, which they said came from Clip Studio Paint, which is another app that you can assemble comics in. So this is a pretty powerful image. We've got a character. This is using the Daz Studio engine, so we've got a bunch of models. I'm not sure where everything came from, but you get the idea that we have this really powerful scene happening where this hand is like reaching through the mind, breaking through the barrier, which would be the door. So you can imagine this like a Green Lantern idea, or just anything where you're using your mind to conjure images, and this would be the visual representation of their energy struggle or their magic struggle. So this is pretty crazy. So they've sent me this image and said, play around with it. I certainly requested to do it because when I saw the image and the hand coming through the door, I thought this is kind of crazy. So usually when I do the post-work stuff, I just get sent the completed image, and it's up to me to draw on top of it or come up with stuff to play around with it. But in this particular case, I was actually sent a PNG original file. So this almost feels like cheating, that I actually get to go in and play with the original image, which is, so I have the actual isolated. And for those who use Daz, don't forget, if you turn the dome off or make the items in the background not there, you can render as a PNG and get your transparency intact and do a lot of your work in post. So I have suggested before that there's some that, really want to rely on the Daz engine and do everything inside of Daz. Other people just want to get the basic look down, and then from there they'll add their special effects, which is what I do. They'll add different backgrounds, different skies, different everything. Play with the tone. Some like the tone mapping in Daz, and they want to get the color right inside of Daz. Others would rather do it in Photoshop or some other photo editing program. So most of these ideas that I cover are applicable in almost anything that does layers or has effects, so it doesn't really matter what you use. Philosophically, going forward, what I usually do is try every idea and see what sticks. So I'm more of the type that's going to try everything, and then at the very end, I go back and look at it and see what do I like, what don't I like, what didn't work, and such. So one of the things we want to grab is a template. So I'm going to grab a portrait template, which I made in Photoshop. This is a 300 DPI, 8.5 by 11. This is a generic size that I just picked. It's just 8.5 by 11 because that's like the A4 size or something. And I just made it 300 dots per inch because Photoshop likes to work with pixels. And, you know, pixels per inch matters. So in this case, I just picked the lowest spectrum point. Common is 300 dots per inch. I believe this image had a different pixel resolution. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to drag this into mine and place it here. And I sort of want to pick the scale. I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to save this as a new image so I don't corrupt anything. I'll pull this, what will I call this? I'll call this doorway encounter. Usually things are very, very heavily misspelled when I'm working on them. So I'm going to try to actually spell a few things right because you guys are watching. But, alright, so I also named it 01 in case I want to, you know, save my work somewhere and I'm worried about undos not kicking in. But I have my image. So the first I just want to kind of go to, I want to get a little, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the original layout that they had with the chapter. So I'm just going to make a quick comparison. And I see they had the chapter above it and this other stuff. And I'm just thinking about what do I need and what do I not need. You know, do I need the whole doorway to tell you it's a doorway? What about the text? So I'm going to need to be conscious of that. I think the door upper frame is important. I think this area is important. And right about up to here is important. I don't think I need his feet. And it stinks too, because when you're doing dash, you take so much effort to put the feet properly touching the ground, to get the shadows right. And then sometimes when you actually lay it out, you just lose all that information. So we're going to play a little bit with the scale. I'm going to duplicate it first too in case I want to go backwards. I always have that option. I always want to go backwards sometimes and undo stuff. So I kind of want to keep the top of the door. And I got to make a decision. Do I want to keep the text there, overlay on the characters, or not? Maybe I won't. And we'll keep the aspect ratio the same. I don't think we're going to thin this out, but I think this is enough. Where do I need more space? If he's going to put the chapter, if they're going to put the chapter on top, and the credits down here somewhere, maybe I'll leave this area for the credits so that the image can be a little bit more meaty. And I think I'm going to have the action going this way. I think I'm going to have, yeah, I'm going to have the action going somehow this way. So I'll put the credits here, and I'll probably put the chapter up here. If there's a name for the title, I think that will fit. So I think that's where we're going to start, with this being it. And now that even though I've placed that and I'm happy with it, I'm going to copy that again in case I do end up wanting to go backwards. So, alright, so what we've got is this hand coming through the door. There's 100 ways to attack this. Let's go with first with some magic, because this, you know, this book isn't magic, it's demons, but I feel like the demon, magic, demon thing kind of fits together. So I don't want to start going with, like, you know, too much wizard spell stuff. But demons, energy, realms, powerful magic users, all of that kind of blends together in my head. So let's go with some, and again, I'm just warning you, this would all be spelled wrong if I was just doing it by myself and there was no one watching me. I barely look down at the keyboard most times when I type. I'm going to sample a bit of color from this image. I'm going to sample some color. The lightest part of this is an awesome blue in here. So I'm going to take that blue and we're going to start to mess around with some hand energy. I could go to my Divinity brushes first. We'll go with Ron's Particles. That's also available in the Daz store. It's Postwork effects. And I'm going to grab some and throw them around the hand. So now we've got some energy bursting off the hand to begin with. Yeah, I like that. So far the hand seems to be shattering through the door. Maybe if I put any bits of the wall of the door here, it'll seem like it's literally busting through the door. So I probably don't want to go that far. You have to excuse me. But I'm probably not going to go that far. So let's go with another layer. When I think of demons, I think of pentagrams and weird shapes and just energy runes, that kind of thing. So let's go with some circular symbols. Some kind of circular symbol we kind of want. So now let's go with a different, darker. I'll turn off my hand energy. Let's go with a little bit darker one. There's a darker color. I could have also gone and just went to the actual, you know, color itself and slid down. There's a bunch of ways to do anything in Photoshop or whatever you're using. So you don't have to like sort of stick to the tools that I'm using. But okay, we're going with some circular symbols. I'm gonna stick with Ron's brushes for now. Like I said, there's 100 ways to do this. Let's just pick the quickest and easiest. What does Ron make? Ron has a digital energy. I can't remember if that's what I'm looking for. So we'll go with it anyway, and we'll see what he's given us. All right, we got some nice swirlies. These look like energy. Okay, this looks... we want something kind of circular. That looks cool. That one is sort of... okay. This also is a mental note for later. I think we're going to come back to this. And let's see what he's given us. I'm going to leave the brush full size when I lay it down, and I'll edit it later. I'm going to give it a couple of taps so that it just got a little bit darker than the first application. And then once I sort of see what I have, then I'll go in and I'll make some adjustments. I could have shrunk the brush down, but I kind of want to do this myself. Okay, and I'm going to want to place... This now is like almost a hand is reaching through some sort of energy portal. Now, the shape isn't exactly circular, and I want it to be a little bit more circular, so I'm going to transform and go to warp. It probably wasn't warp, it probably was distort I should have grabbed, but it doesn't make a difference. I just want to make it a little bit more of a circle. A little bit more of a circle and even. Just a little bit more of a circle for this energy coming off. I like this. Alright. Not bad. So now we have some sort of energy coming out. I might want to clean that up. I'm going to duplicate it again in case I blow this. I'm going to duplicate it one more time too, so that I have options to come backwards. So I'm going to take the circular energy and I want to clean it up from the hand so that the hand stays popping out from it. So I'm going to clean up just around the hand to keep that going. Now we got the hand coming out. And again, it doesn't look as if the hand is literally coming through the door. So we're still good. I'm also going to clean up his face. We don't want to lose his face in this. So I'm going to also clean up his face. And if I clean up around the shoulder, it's almost like this is now behind him. So we get the particles is on front, like it's reaching through and the particles are coming at us. But this gate thing that we have here. So we're going to play with another one. We'll put another one up. And I think we'll put this one behind the hand energy. I'm going to protect it, lock the layer. We're going to play with some colors. And this is an experiment. I don't know what I'm going to get. When I do this kind of stuff, you don't always get stuff you like. And then we're going to experiment. We're going to flip it on a vertical axis, and that looks like a little bit different what we've got here. Another set of energy. I'll shrink it a bit. Make sure it doesn't like overlap the other one too crazy. And then we're going to kill a lot of this one. So we're going to unlock it so I can erase on it. And we want to erase a lot of it. And I think I'm going to leave a little bit on his face. Maybe I'll do the opposite and get rid of most of it around him. And just creatively, I like some of the areas of the other one. It's probably too much that I erased. Might be too much. We might have gotten rid of a little too much. Because now this is a bit more of an accent than an energy. And the parallel lines looks like copy and paste, so we get rid of that. Alright. Could live with this. But this gives me some ideas for yellow particles now. This makes me want to see yellow particles, so we're going to go backwards. But I think we'll experiment. Let's see what we got so far. I'm not going to go backwards from here. I think we're going to go a different way to put some energy, some more energy coming off of this. There's 100 ways to do this, like I keep saying. So we're just going to pick one. I think I'm going to play with Particle Shop. Do I want to play Particle Shop? Let's play Particle Shop and add some more energy to this. So for Particle Shop, we're going to combine these layers that are meaningful. I'm going to combine all those layers, duplicate all those layers, and I'm going to merge them together. So what I have is an actual single layer that has all of my images merged. And I'm going to duplicate that a few times because I tend to noodle around. Once I start playing with Particle Shop, it becomes very addicting. So Particle Shop is going to work on just one layer at a time. So you're going to see just that one layer expanded. And I also want to save my work. Particle Shop has never crashed on me. That doesn't mean that it never will. So I sort of want to freeze it to where I'm at, just in case any of this goes bad. I go to my filters. Painter is the company that actually makes Painter, which I have on the tablet behind me. I usually use it for that, but we're going to use their offshoot program, which is called Particle Shop, which has a bunch of, I don't know what to call them, animated brushes, so that when you're actually painting and drawing, the brushes have animations. So I'm going to pick a color. I did say I wanted yellow. I'm not going to sample it from the picture this time. I'm just going to take it from its own native, and I want a very bright. I'm going to even leave the glow on for now. We're going to experiment. It comes with brushes. They're about between $20 and $30 each, and a brush will have several animated brushes. The grass is up because I ended up putting grass on a scene in Killer Butterfly, and I ended up drawing grass. I do demos of this in my webinar series, so if you want to know more about that, the program is called Particle Shop by Corel. They also make Painter, that I believe is their flagship program. But okay, these are all the different brushes they've got. Creepers, Light It Up, Particle Crawlers is an interesting one. There's a lot of them are good for energy and special effects. Sometimes I remember what they are and I'll write down the names. Other times I can't really remember and I have to just play with them. I think it's good for free expression. This is controlling the size of my brush. So I want a very small brush, and we're going to see what we get when we do a little bit of drawing. So we get some nice particles happening here. Not bad. Can I live with that? If not, I step backwards through it. It's a little bit over the top for what we're doing today. Another day that might have been the Holy Grail answer. But I think we're just going to leave a couple of magic sparkles here and leave this layer alone. So for this first one, just a few sparkles. When I save, I can choose to put these brush strokes flattened onto the layer, or I can save only the brush strokes. When I save only the brush strokes, back in Photoshop, I have a layer that just has those extra brush strokes that I added. That is why I duplicated the entire background and I painted on it as a separate, and I also leave it so I can go backwards and undo. So if I also want, I can lighten, the opacity on the layer, and I can have this be subtle. I'm a big fan of subtle effects, so that's subtle. And I just lighten it up so that it's barely there for that one. Let's make another layer. I know what I want is some kind of energy dripping through this door. Like I want something that comes out like a light source. I'm not sure exactly yet how we're going to do that or what program I should do it in. I know Ron has a lot of brushes that can pull that off. So I'm not really sure where to go with that. But for now, I think we're going to go with another Particle Shop. Divani has so many brushes that you almost can't help but just use them to finish off your artwork. And he's one of those things too where once you start using his brushes, it's just endless. There's just so many he's got in his offerings. Flame brush is always awesome. There's actually even a rain one here. We have sparkles, sunrise. It's also trying to remember which one has the better control. If I remember correctly, sunrise is angular. There's not a whole lot of controls for these brushes. If you want like the full suite with lots of controls, you're going to want to mess around with Painter itself. Like that's the flagship that these brushes are also compatible with. And, they're very loose. But in here, you almost wish this was populated with 1,000 controls. And in here were settings. And there was a lot of ways to customize it. I think we're going to go back to the color blue. I can fix the tone of the blue later, or I can just sample it. I think I'm just going to sample that that almost fluorescent type blue. And let's see what we get when I draw some brushes in. So this is close to what we're looking for. This is damn close. We might actually even keep this because this seems to be the energy that I was looking for coming through the door. So this is that. This is that energy we were looking for on the door. Like he's trying to hold back this crazy energy. So we got lucky, and the first brush that we picked kind of gets the job done without any fiddling around, and we just sort of have something that is kind of working right out the gate. So we're going to keep this probably and just see what we get. So we're going to save this. Again, I want to save just the brush strokes, and I get my door energy coming through the door. And we have choice in what we could do from here on out. Let's do something else. Let's call this my blue haze frame energy. Let's call it that. And this is my little sparkles. I'm gonna call this my yellow sparkles. And now we have a yellow sparkle. So we can also play around with, we want that energy to burst outward. The energy needs to burst outward. So I'm gonna take my, first let's save where we're at. It'd be funny this crashes like right in the middle of what I'm showing you guys. Loser. All right, so we're gonna duplicate this layer and let's call this motion effect hazer. Don't call me the noobs. All right, so motion effect hazer. We're gonna put that on there and let's find an effect for that. Let's turn off the real one. We'll get rid of sparkles for a distraction. I think for now, I'm going to duplicate the background, and I want one that's going to be black, so I can start to contrast my art and see what I get. A lot of times I'll do that and just try different backgrounds to see that the energy is popping the way I kind of want it to. All right, we're 20 minutes in. Let me step on the gas. Usually when I'm doing the webinar course, I'm going at like 100 miles an hour. I'm trying not to go too fast, step by step, but at the same time, I don't want to make a 3-hour video. I do take my time, and B is certainly worth it. This is like a really great artist, so you don't want to blow it and make something corny out of their book, because their book is rather popular actually, which is pretty interesting that they share so much of the work process that everyone's like living the book. Like every time they put up a chapter, me and a bunch of other people are looking at it going, okay, what happened next? You know, which is, for us behind the scenes as creatives, it's even more exciting to see because you know what the person is working on and you understand what they're going for. So a lot of times it's real crazy that, you know, you get to sit there and watch a book unfold. It's sort of like, oh no, get like a real background look. I can't remember which program it is. So unfortunately, I'm going into Topaz Studio, and I'm not sure if this is the actual program. This is filtered Topaz. I know it can't be expensive. I know I didn't spend a whole lot of money on my Photoshop filters, but there's a lot of filters. Please let me have like a favorites menu or something in here. Oh boy. These are probably all the ones I use for my comic. I don't recognize any. Oh, no, there's a motion effect. All right. I gotta remember how to do stuff myself because motion. All right. So we're gonna put a motion effect. Let's see. We want the picture to sort of explode outward. And of course I haven't used this in some time, so we're just looking at it. This looks right. The settings look right. I think we're gonna call this good. And let's see what we get. No, don't install an update during my class. What do we have? It's a little subtle, right? I either have to go back and change those settings, or we can do the simpler thing and use our Photoshop to get us out of this one. I think we're going to go switch to Photoshop. So I got the haze looking good, right? Comparatively speaking, I've got a nice amount of it on there, but it's not that bursting, exploding look yet. So we're going to go back and let's play with our normal Photoshop. Under Photoshop, under filters, under artistic, where is it? Is it blur? It's a motion blur. Yep, there's a motion blur. So let's take a look at it. Let's really turn this up some. And we want to pick an angle that sends it away from the door. All right. We are close. So now this has given me another blueprint. We're going to duplicate it because I have another idea. And we're going to make it the blur bigger. And that will get it to come out. So we resize the blur to get it to sit behind the other one. And there is our solution to getting it to come outward. Now we can go back and motion blur it and turn it up. We want it to be really turned up. There we go. Now we're cooking. Let me get my angle straight. I want that angle to be outward. Yep. Coming off. You see what I'm doing? I'm having it shoot outward. And then we say okay. And now I have my energy blur. And what we'll do is, that's what it's without it. That's with it. See what we got here? So I'm going to take this other one. Probably needs a Gaussian blur. It's a little bit heavy, so let's go with a regular or Gaussian. Hope I got the name right. Let's give that a little blur too. That's too much. We just want to soften it up a little bit. Yeah, maybe I'll do it with the eraser. Maybe I'll do it with the eraser myself. But we have a little bit of energy blur coming out. And this one is very high energy. So now we've got energy coming off the door. Which you're going to see when I switch back, it almost disappears. So if you were watching it like, oh, this looks crazy. It's like, yo, you know, the book doesn't have a black background, but you get to see the heaviness of your effect. This is actually much lighter and lesser. And we're losing a little bit of the door. So I'm probably going to want to get some of that door back. So I'm going to take the bottom one that seems to be eating too much of the door. Let's save where we're at, save our progress. And we just want to clean up the door a little bit. We want to keep the door strong. I should have actually, hold on a second. Let us get rid of you. And we'll get rid of you. And let's grab the door. I could have also, obviously I could have selected color and went with white. You know, I could do that too. But I'm going to draw the line myself. If I'm in a rush, I would have just selected the color. But it's just this first half of the door I want to sort of clean up. Just the first part of the door. Back to history. Right? Too lazy to redraw that. So, it's this one. Let me see. It's really this one that's cutting a little bit too much across my door. So I'm going to go layer, new via cut. And now I have the door lighter haze. And now what I'm going to do is lighten up the part that goes over my door. You see how that brings the door back in? I know this is like really nitpicking stuff, but sometimes, you know, this is what I do. I spend a lot of time. I don't want to lose this door. I want the energy to eat up the Oreo sandwich, but I want this door here. Now that I've got this kind of cooking, I think I want some rays. I can either go back to Particle Shop, which will give me rays coming out from a central point, or I could do it myself. And I think I'm going to do it myself. Or should I use some more of Ron's brushes? It's just such a decision, because you always have so many ways to do things. I think I'm going to do it with some more of Ron's brushes. So let's do that. Let's call this rays. So to show you a bunch of different ways, I could have just... You know, let's combine them all. Let's combine them all so that you guys see all the different techniques. So, I'm going to pick a central axis. I don't need it to be 100% right. I'm going to assume that there's something like maybe the head is here, maybe. And if there's a head somewhere here, or maybe the hand or the arm. You don't want to sort of fool the audience like the hand is giving off the energy beam. So, I'm just going to probably pick like a central place, like somewhere back here. There's a creature of some kind. So I'm going to put one ray there. I'm going to put, this is actually just for demonstrative purposes. I am probably not going to keep this, or at least not let it be prominent, but, you know, you're at least going to see me do the rays. I'm holding down the shift key too. I don't know, yeah, I was almost gonna say, like, I don't know if you can see that, but and then maybe like one more, just eyeballing it really. I'm not gonna go crazy. We're getting perspective right. All right, but that would just give me a layer of rays, and then I'm gonna grab some color. I'm gonna pick, a light one from there, and I'm gonna fill it with some rays. So now we have some energy rays coming from behind the door. And I'll probably play with this a whole bunch of different ways, but for now, let's go with filter, and let's give it some nice blurring until it just becomes an energy ray, until it's just a bunch of beams. There we go. So now, let's duplicate that layer, and I have my energy. We want to make it from behind the door, so we sort of want to make sure it doesn't come from before the door. And now we've got some energy. It's coming from inside that crack, so right there is a good place. It's coming from inside that crack, so there's a good place. So now I've got some beams. If I want to check against the black, you can see we've got beams coming off the door. All right. So now we've got some energy beams coming out of the door. So there's something really powerful behind this door that's busting through and reaching through. What else would we like to see? Oh, let's do some more beams. Let's go with some more beams. Let's make another set of beams. We'll call this Ron's Beams. We'll go with Diviney. I believe the store name is Diviney. Diviney Beams More. We want to use a Photoshop brush for this. So we'll go into Ron's brushes. I mean, like I said, his brushes have so many uses for them. They're really just shapes that you get to pick and choose. So we're just going to be real quick and just look at what he's given us. This is one of his shadow. It's called Light and Shadow. And I just find that it just has some wicked shapes that are just good for basically everything. So these are also very suitable rays. We're just going to go with a jagged set, like a real generic jagged set. And this, as you can see, is him giving us more rays. So I could resize them, but I'm not. I'm just going to place his rays down, and we get rays, which looks pretty awesome, actually. That's actually a happy accident that I'm going to actually place these rays. I don't want them to battle the other set. I kind of liked it. Somehow it worked when it was down here. That's interesting. I think I'm going to keep that. That's a happy accident. That's not even what I was going for. I was going to go for more rays coming off the door. But looking at that, I actually like that. I actually like that. Alright, let's not overdo it though. I don't want to fall in love with the effect. It just needs to be there. So we're going to lighten it up a bit. I like that. Okay. The hand is energy, which means it could have a projection to it. So we're going to zoom in on the hand, and we're going to go find ourselves a hand. So I picked the hand layer, and again, there's a magnetic ruler for this, where I could just drag the selection tool, and a magnetic brush will sort of wrap itself around all the different edges. I think it's called a magnetic lasso, but I'm just going to use the regular one because they're drawing pretty quick. This is probably about normal speed. I think this is about normal speed. I usually don't really spend, I'm not trying to fool you. If I'm doing like, I'm not trying to quote-unquote Photoshop this image and make you think something that is there isn't. I am just drawing on top of it and just going to pull this hand out. And it doesn't really matter because I'm going for an effect. I'm not going to copy and paste it and move it someplace else, but then I might be using a combination of selection tools, and I had to zoom in really close and like pull the image around, but I don't think I'm going to need to do that for what I have in mind. I'm just going to try to get the hand to be a bit more prominent. I'm not going to enlarge it, because if I enlarge the hand, B is very sharp with this kind of stuff, so they might have imagined that the hand is selection, modify. This is an old version of Photoshop too, as a matter of fact. Just go with 4. Yeah, 4 kept it kind of smooth. Layer new via copy. Not cut, just copy. And I'm going to call this the blue hand. And we're going to take our blue hand and we'll move it up. We just want it just above the regular hand, but I think I do want it behind the effects. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to keep it behind the effects. And then we'll scroll out and we'll take this new hand. I should copy it first too in case I jack this up. We'll keep the hand, turn the hand off, and we'll play with the hand. And now we get a hand extended. The angle shouldn't really shift. Or do you want the hand behind the other hand? Should it be energy reaching out? Should it be a mystical hand? There's so many ways to go with this. You're just never sure. Let's see what we get. The hand there. Energy hand there. Alright. We have the hand reaching out. That's almost giving me a motion. It's almost giving me a motion. But it's also making me feel like I want the hand to be slightly angled. This could be a mistake. Could be a mistake. Let me see what happens if we get rid of the middle. Do I get something that I like? If I get and I clear out the hand, what do I get? I don't think I like that. Now that's corny. That's gotta go. Go back to my hand. We have a hand. I know I want it enlarged. Do I want to distort it? Let's duplicate it. Maybe I want to pull the hand, pull it forward. What would that be? Maybe a warp tool. Will a warp tool give me what I want? This hand reaching outward. All the fingers coming forward. Just the fingers. Just the fingers reaching out, maybe. What do we get? How does that look? And turn that down. Alright, we're still getting that motion look. It still looks like the hand. Yeah, that's where we're getting there. This is one of them times where we're experimenting. No pun intended, but we're reaching. But I'm not sure if I like what we're getting out of the reach. What am I not getting? What am I not projecting? What am I not getting out of this? It's probably the hand shape. If the hand was more curled into like a grabbing claw, this would probably come off better. But since the hand is palm outward, like it's just pushing through a wall, the action should be pushing, not grabbing. And I'm changing this hand to a reach when I tilted the knuckles forward. That's probably the mistake that I made. Let's see where we're at. We don't want the hand to change its motion. We want it to be grabbing. We need it grabbing. All right, so let's go to this again. And let's go with let's turn off one of my other layers, and let's go with just it reaching out. So we can't resize it too much. We don't want to change its orientation. So we're going to go with that. Still a little motiony, but it's not bad. Still a little motion. Maybe you need to clean that up. Not bad. Not bad. I want the forearm part to remain prominent. Am I happy with this forearm, this little section in here? Am I happy with that? There should be a slight energy puncture where it comes through. We're going a little long. It's 40 minutes. Let's start to wrap it up. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting carried away. Whenever I do this, I could spend hours doing this. Let's go with an energy punch. And we'll go back to Diviney. We could have done this in Particle Shop and other stuff. Maybe I'll go to Particle Shop for the rain and show you guys that. Because apparently rain might be important. So they chose rain. So we're not going to blow it too hard with the rain products. We're going to stick to rain stuff for the backdrop. What was I doing? Energy punch. Let's find some energy. We're going to go back to brushes. And he has lightning. And I remember in my lightning, I did it for my class. It has a circular energy discharge. All right, we're not going to take one of the circular ones, though. Do we? No, we don't want one of the circular ones. Let's leave the circular ones alone. And let's play with, it's bursting through. We don't want anything like lightning, and the circles are very easy. You can imagine I put a circle here. I mean, most of you guys know what that would look like, right? I've done that before. That's a ball of electricity. But I like this. I like this. I like that X coming through. Like, I like these. One of these, a lighter one of these. You see how that's like coming through the door? And we're probably doing too much with this light. So let's get back to color. Let's get some yellow in here. We don't want to go radical. The text is yellow on the title. So we don't, you know, we'll go with a very light yellow. Let me go, you know, to the end. Almost white. Almost white. Let's see what we get. Close. Close. Closer still. Not too much. Not too much. I like that. I'm going to duplicate the layer just so it becomes twice as dark. And I'm going to merge those two layers together. It's the equivalent of me pressing on it twice, but I moved the mouse, so I don't want to go backwards. And we're going to clean it up because we want the hand to sort of be the central point to where this energy is coming from. Which means we want to clean up like the hand's in front of it. Let's shift it over a bit. And now we've got a central point where the energy is bursting through. And now the hand is like ultra focused and coming through. Let's go back to our black and see what we get. We might be doing it a little bit with this energy on the door. Might be over the top. Right? We're going to keep our rays intact. The door part works out one of the best layers. The motion is a little bit heavy. We're not going to know fully till we get the background going. We're not going to know fully. So let's play with some backgrounds. That's also one of those things where we should refer back to. I should have pulled this up more often. I was looking at this on the side. Every so often I glanced over at it, but we should just remember what the original image was. I'm going to need room for the chapter, and I'm going to need room for the, well, that's a watermark, but that probably doesn't count. But for at least the credits. So we're going to keep that room somewhere in mind. But for now, we need a background. So if you remember in my class, we were given a group of free brushes. This is what you get when you don't really think about this. On Cube Brush, I have a sponsor who, I'm going to pull up their page, who is Era 7, who does backdrops. These are very, very affordable backdrops. So we're looking at her page now. 3 free anime landscapes. Okay. Wow. So you can imagine some of these crazy landscapes in the back. I used to get all the free ones at first, but then, you know, she loads them up with so many brushes when the actual pack comes out. I end up just buying the actual pack. And there's really no point in just getting the free ones unless you want them like a week early. But for the most part, I just buy the packs themselves. So I wonder if this one has a set. She does Sky Nebulae. We use a bunch of these type of products. These are backdrops, high resolution backdrops you can pull into your image for Postwork. So this is a great resource that she does. The name is ERA7, Era 7, and the site is Cube Brush, which has a lot of resources on it. But she does tutorials, a lot of stuff, and she sponsors my webinar series. So usually you get some free backdrop that either Griffin will create or she will create, and among some other people that are coming on board. But you'll get some free stuff when you usually take one of my webinars, and in this case you usually get backgrounds. But yeah, anime backgrounds. So you might go with that and play around with that. You know, since this is an energy and it's like happening in the mind, apparently like the rain is probably just like a flat plane motif. So we're going to look into our comics. I got to remember where I keep all of my stuff. Storage is probably in the site itself. And let's take a look. I own so much of her stuff, brushes, backgrounds, star checks. Okay, so we have a ton. I actually did buy her anime backgrounds, so it's just very nice that I actually own that set. We are going to open it and take a look at it. Very nice. So this is going to work out nicely. So what you get is a bunch of backgrounds, which we can sort of use. They're anime sort of related. I should pull these up so you can see what they look like. But we get some backdrops that we could play with. And if you're going to simulate, you know, a vast openness, this looks good for manga. You know, anime is what this is, so this will look good. You know, I can imagine a very nice planet that has these kind of clouds, and it's very quick. That's a nice one because it's, oh, even nicer. So we have a pretty solid background that we can use. This we'll probably pick one of these because we want to combine rain. Oh, this one is crazy. All right, let's go get this one. This one was number 25 out of 60. So you can spend all day doing this. So if you want, we can just leave the background. The original artwork, where is it? The original artwork is a gray piece, right? It is a gray background with rain on it. So Ron has a bunch of great rain products that can simulate rain. We could do splashes of water. We could put puddles of water, splashes coming down on him. We could put water on the surface of the camera. I mean, there's a ton of effects we can do if you want to go with rain. It depends on how over the top do you want to go. I don't think we want to go too crazy. I think we've done enough with the actual image and we don't want to overdo it. So we're going to stick with just a dark sky in the background, which will give us a little bit of a light and the dark. And that ought to work well with our energy effect. And when we throw rain on top, you'll see the rain in the dark spots. And the rain will work. I don't know if we want to put rain on top of the character or mix it up. Maybe we'll let, you know, well, we'll decide. Let's get cooking. So we want to grab that dark background. Oh, there are some nice ones. This is going to be tough to decide. This always happens. There's this one that I like a lot. That might be a little bit too colorful and beautiful. That might be too beautiful. Oh, man. There's dark ones. There's some really, really nice ones. This one was super dark. I think this could work. You know? That's a very dark sky. Let's play with this one first, see what we get. Let's back it up a taste. We'll throw this down behind everything. We'll throw it behind everything. And now we've got a dark brooding sky. Let's see if it translates well upon the stretch. And this doesn't, I really lose the sky part of the equation. So going super dark, I lost the sky and I just got a nice wash background. So I got a nice washed background. Not bad. That would look good with rain. I think that would look good. But we're going to put that on hold. I kind of want something that's dark. See, I need something with clouds. Let's try this. Will this tell me that there's clouds? Will they know it's clouds? For a backdrop. I mean, this kind of works compared to the gray. And I think I'm going to keep the scale the same. And I'm not going to stretch it. Alright. And the dark on top, because that's where the energy is, kind of also works. And let's check the color, the tone. Right? Where do we like this best? This is heavenly. This is a little too heavenly. I can see what this is probably why KB went with just the dark to accentuate the book and the energy, and that's why they went with the gray. There's actually a method to that madness that they went with the gray, because you can see anything that has a ton of light and contrast in it is detracting from the main image. So I bet you that's why they went with the gray, and the gray is the midpoint between the dark, and that's probably actually pretty genius that they went with that. Now that I'm looking at it, that was probably fairly genius. And I might have to do the same. I might have figured out why they went with the gray background for the color balance. Yep. Too much energy, too much action going on with those colors. So we figured out why they went where they went. We're going to need a grayish, whatever that was. Undo that. That was crazy. We're going to need to go with a darker color then. And maybe not a purple. All right, one more risk. One more experiment. This has a little bit in it, but it's going to compete with the energy. Yeah, that's going to compete with the energy. No. No, no. We're going to go with the black. We're going to go with a darker tint. That one. And there's another one that's also dark. We're going to go with this one. We'll stick with this one. And just let it be really, really gloomy. Right? A really gloomy and no energy near the top. We don't want any of that. No whites in there, so we want to get this. We want to get this really. I could have done this with a blue wash, to be honest. I did not need to go that far. I could have done this with a straight blue wash. I'm happy with the blue. The blue might be a little bit too much blue, though. So let's make sure this is solid, and let's. All right, we're gonna copy some of B's technique, and we're gonna take out some of this saturation and let it go a little bit more gray and tilt it towards the gray side and give me a little bit more dark. We're gonna lose that blue a little bit. Lose the blue a little bit. Now that I know I've got a dark background, that lets me know where to adjust the energies. All of that's groovy. All of that's groovy. This guy is too much. Let me see. You're right. Just lock that so I know to not always keep clicking on it. Actually, it's that one. So this one. And we want to lighten it up a little bit. No. It's either this or we could blur it some more, or we can motion it out. I don't think I want to do either one of those. Let me see. That just looks like I used a transparency. Let me think. I'm not getting the full screaming. I could smear it and grab it and pull it out. I could motion it out. I could fray the edges. I'm going to fray the edges. Let's fray the edges. I'm going to fray the edges. Let's copy it. Turn one off. I'm going to fray the edges. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reset my brush. I want a very large size brush. A very large brush. I want a very large brush. What I want to do is just erase the edges and just lighten it up from the outside in. Probably needs more. It needs more energy. It needs more. I'm close, but that's not what I'm looking for. Where's my lightened one? Where's my lightened one? That's my lightened one. I need more of my energy pulling up. Alright, I know what we're going to do. We're going to need to warp this. We're going to need to warp this. I could also probably just distort, but I want a warp. I want a stretching warp to come out. I want a warp effect. Alright, you pull out, you pull back in, you pull out, you pull back in. This is the effect we were looking for from before. That's what we were looking for. And now back up to real scale. Now we have my energy pulling out more. Alright, a little bit. That one needs to be very subtle. That the energy is just pulling out. There we go. And then my door can stay. My rays need to be better. My rays need to be better. The rays need to be better. And we've got our yellow sparkles in the hand. Alright, this is nice. I've got that in the middle. I think we're almost there. I think now I want some... We're probably going to cut down the subtlety of this if we can get some more dancing energy. So let's go with some dancing energy. We're going to go all the way down to here. Duplicate those layers, merge them together, and I have my entire picture on top. My picture on top. We are going to go with some brushes. Let's play with some particle shop again. I could do this with a Diviney brush. You know what? I think I'm gonna do that when we get to the background. This is obviously the full size palette of the brush, so it's mimicking the largest picture. That's where this giant scale came from. If I crop my image, I'll get rid of that, but we don't need to crop. We just need our energy. So we want to look for a nice energy effect. I know one of these is Wizard. Yep. Wizard has a lot of energy. Let's take a look at Spirit. Spirit is a nice energy effect that I've got. Good. Seeping out the door. And we've got some nice energy coming out the door. Alright, that one curved too much downward. Yeah. And now we've got some nice energy coming off the door. Almost like if the rays are coming through this area. That's nice. Maybe these now need to be more pronounced, but we'll keep this for now. We're overdoing it. We're at almost the 1 hour mark. We're going a little crazy. Alright, so that's it. Lighten that up. It could be a little bit more subtle and blend in with the other energy. Let it blend in with the other ones. You know? The door frame is also... I've lost the second half of this door. That's the only problem, is we went a little bit too hard. Where's my door? Who's blocking the door? Oh. Who's blocking the door? Nope. Nope. Who's blocking the door? Ah, you're blocking my door. Uh-huh. You're blocking my door. Okay. Okay, I think we're groovy. We have the energy busting through the door. We have our character. Let's play with some rain. Got a nice little effect with that. Last time for effect, this should be particle energy. I think it was called Wizard. The beams, okay. Those are alright. Those are okay. The yellow sparkles can probably come back a little bit more since we're beginning to lose them. The motion haze is alright. We're going to keep that. The door haze is still right. Alright. The motion effect haze too. We like that. Circular symbols is going to keep. Hand energy, we love those sparkles. Those look great. Circular energy is nice. The circular energy, that's there. The energy punch we like. It's a little cliche, but I like that. The blue hand is good for a little bit of extra. We have our door leaning on front. Okay. And this is our background. This is our background that we are happy with. Okay, so let's do rain. Rain could be done a whole bunch of different ways. You know, in Daz, there's 100 different rain products. But we're going to do the rain in post. I think we'll put some on top, some in the background. So I'll go right above my most rear layer. And we'll call this rain backdrop. And of course, you could have put like a real sky and a storm and all the other stuff. But let's go with a brush. Rain is usually white in color. We want some little streaks. Diviny has 2 rain products. There's the rain, which is the new one that I converted. We'll play with that one. But this one is meant for the top, though. I feel like his products, like this one, was meant for the top. On top of your artwork. And the other one feels like it was meant to go behind. I know it sounds like a weird thing to say, but that's the kind of feeling I get when I play with them both. He's got streaks, smudges, puddles. Diviny has it pretty all covered. He's got splashes. We don't want drops, though. We don't need drops. I think I just need, like... This is, like... streaks of rain. What is this going to be? These are, like, all drops. Some of these are puddles. This is rain at an angle. So you can see, like, just light showers of rain. That's more like a texture-type rain. You know? That's not the one we want. We don't want a texture-type rain. We want something with, like, some big streaks. So I'm going to grab... Let's see. These are like big streaks of rain. Like that one might be a little too over the top. I mean, it works for the background, you know, and maybe I'll clean it up. What should I do? Let's go back to the source. The source only has the rain falling behind everyone. We've got rain falling in front. We maybe should stick to their vision that it's raining not past a certain plane. What do we do? I think we're going to stick with that idea. And we're not going to overdo it with the rain. We're not going to overdo it with the rain. Change your plans. We're going to put the rain behind. And I think we're going to leave the rain behind. We're not going to put any water drops on the camera. That might be over the top. And I think we're going to go with this. I think we're going to call this just about done. We could add lightning and other stuff. I think you get the idea of how this kind of goes. But we're looking at... Let's resize them. So we're looking at the 2 images and figuring out... This one pops a little brighter. So let's make ours pop a little brighter. Let's get some color, get it to pop a little brighter. Image adjust. Turn the contrast up a bit. Turn the contrast up. Give us a little bit of brightness. And that will make the character stand out a bit more. That works. Right? This is like a glow of energy. Right? You can see when we really turn it up, you get a sense like, you know, damn near glowing from the power of the hand. And that actually might be nice. Do I want to push it that hard? I think I'm going to keep that. With the energy really bursting off the hand. You know, I like my characters orange. I tend to like orange character. I like that orange character. There's a comic book artist whose style I loved. He used to do everything with colored pencils. And his skin, he used to draw a skin that was always orange and yellow. And I love that look. You know, some people like their characters very pale and washed out. I just like a real deep tannish skin color. But be that as it may, we have that. We could do text. That might be like another hour. I don't want to just find a font or even look for this font. But you get the idea of where this goes next. Pretty much, in my vision, the chapter heading would still go here. And the credits and titles would go here. So I would put the written part would go in this block, and the artwork would go down in this block, and the chapter heading goes up here, and whatever the name of the chapter is going to be can also go in there. But you get the idea. I think this concludes this post work. I can't wait to show this to B. That's an artist that I look at their work a lot, and I've been following it. Hue and saturation might be the other thing too. Maybe a little bit more hue and saturation. See, once you start tinkering, I just tend to just keep going and going and going. And now I've got some nice saturation going along with that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call this done and let this go for now. You know, not bad. We've got some energy bursting through and some streaks and stuff. So I think I'm gonna call it for this. And again, you know, there are 100 different directions and places to go with the imagery, and you get to decide what you want to do at any point. You can always go backwards. Sometimes simpler is more. This is a little bit over the top with the energy, but you get the idea. That's it. I'm Drew Spence from the Dynamic Universe. Oh, before I forget, I work with Digital Art Live magazine, and they do a bunch of webinars that they have me present. So I do this, and I'm gonna upload this probably on a Saturday morning. But if you go to the Digital Art Live website, they also have a section in the Dad store that sells my products, where you can actually buy webinars of me doing post work like this. So what happens is you get to submit an image, and I will work on it live like this. It's going to be obviously condensed, and I usually just fix things. Like I pick 2 or 3 things to actually work on. This is just a creative one where I'm just playing around and seeing what I can make happen. But for the most part, you get to see a workshop, and I go through all sorts of tools. Sometimes I'm not even using a lot of these effects type stuff. I'll just be going in and just fixing things and repairing stuff. What else? Sometimes I do things with the entire composition itself. I talk about the rendering process, so it's pretty comprehensive. I mean, even if you draw comics, there's a whole world out there that gets done to after you're done drawing. I'm a big fan of Procreate, and I use the iPad tablet. That's another thing that I love to do. So, you know, sometimes you're drawing stuff, you know, and I go, well, how could I actually do this effect? And that's when I just stop where I'm drawing, and I'll do it in post and use some of these type styles. So